Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about emulation, ROMs, and device compatibility with EmuReady. For those who are unaware, EmuReady is the largest community-driven hub for tracking emulation compatibility across devices, emulators, and platforms. And EmuReady just got a nice new feature. So the main person behind EmuReady says a popular request for EmuReady has been the ability to follow games and bookmark reports. When you follow a game, you'll receive a notification when someone made a compatibility report for it. We are planning on adding features to filter it only to receive notifications when the report states it as running perfect or great, for example. These features have been released. Bookmarks are private by default, but can be made public on your profile. Now, in my opinion here, these are really cool features for EmuReady. EmuReady seems to be growing in popularity and also usefulness. At the time of filming, it's got over 12,000 compatibility reports and over 671 handhelds. And speaking about reports, next up we're talking about Sega Genesis or Mega Drive emulation with ClownMD Emu. And ClownMD Emu got a brand new update and a very interesting brand new write-up. So at the time of filming, version 1.6.8 is the latest and greatest update. And with this update, there's a bunch of fixes and also some brand new stuff here. They've improved the cheat menu. Individual cheats can now be applied by pressing the Enter key. They've added checkboxes so cheats can be disabled without deleting them outright. And on top of that, they've added support for loading zip-compressed ROMs. Furthermore, there's a very interesting write-up that accompanies these changes that I would recommend checking out. If you are interested and wanted to learn more about it, like everything we talk about, links are within the GitHub link in the bottom of the description below. I don't hide my sources. In the write-up here, there's a whole lot of detail on how they approach certain things. And speaking about approaching things, next up we're talking about a bunch of people approaching Slay the Spire 2. There we go. We've talked about this game a bunch on this channel when it was announced, when we got a release date, when it was released, and also the hugely positive reception this game has been getting. Anyways, taking a look at SteamDB, and this game is insane on how many players are playing it. So let me know your thoughts on this one. But at the time of filming, Slay the Spire 2's peak player count was 526,793 people playing it at the exact same time. And that is absolutely massive. The last time I talked about this game, I was blown away with the player counts, and now it's got over 500,000. I mean, this is really good for the game. I think this is great for the company and also great for indie gaming. It just goes to show you don't need a massive AAA budget title to be able to rake in the players. And speaking about AAA budget titles, next up here we're talking about Nintendo. And for those who are a Mario fan, Mario Day is, it's coming up pretty soon, March 10th. Anyways, Nintendo has a whole bunch of Super Mario games on sale here for some pretty significant discounts, especially if you're a Mario Rabbids fan. If you are in the market for a new Mario game, I'd recommend checking out Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury if you haven't already. I love this game, and I think it's a lot better than some of their newer titles like Wonder. That might be a hot take, but that's my opinion. Anyways, here on top of that, the Rabbids games are like 90% off. If you haven't checked one out yet, you can pick it up for a pretty cheap price. And speaking about picking up games for a good price, next up here, we're kind of talking about the exact opposite. So we're talking about Gang of Dragon, and this game was premiered during the Game Awards. It turns out this game might never see the light of day if no other studio picks it up, because I guess NetEase is pulling funding. There's a number of articles about this one up already, and listen to this headline. Nagoshi's Gang of Dragon may never come out after NetEase cut funding when it realized an extra $44 million was needed to finish the game. So we're gonna have to wait to see what happens moving forward with this one, but I would say $44 million is not a small amount of money. And if there's still considerable development left to go for this game, there might be a risk that this game still needs even more money after that. So I'm curious to see if there is interest from other studios like Sega. We'll have to wait and see. And speaking about stuff shutting down and waiting and seeing, next up here we're talking about Xbox. Now we've talked about Xbox a bunch in previous videos, most recently with Project Helix, their PC console hybrid that was just announced. Anyways, it appears exclusives are not coming back to this system. And that may be the final nail in the coffin for Xbox. So we're going to have to wait to see on this one, but I am curious to hear your thoughts. I mean, would you be interested in picking up an Xbox that can play Xbox and PC games if there are no Xbox exclusives? Now, I don't like seeing exclusives, but at the same time here, exclusives give people a reason to buy a console. Would you pick up an Xbox if there were no exclusives for it? We have been hearing rumors about expensive prices behind the next generation Xbox as well. And if that is the case, I mean, if people are not interested in picking up an Xbox because there are no exclusives and they're arguably going to be expensive, why would there be an Xbox? Now remember, this is just a rumor, so I am curious to see what's up Ashish Sharma's sleeve here in terms of the next generation Xbox and their current strategy. If they're going to pivot and make things exclusive, or if they're going to keep going down the road because they spent a lot of money on research and development on this next generation console already. Again, we're going to have to wait and see, but let me know your thoughts. And speaking about hearing thoughts on things, next up we're talking about Windows emulation on Android with GameHub and GameHub Lite. Now, in yesterday's video, we talked about a video that was spotlighting some possible performance regressions for the latest version of GameHub. And it turns out there may be a reason behind that. So the developer behind GameHub Lite says, I think this needs some clarification. GameHub Lite 5.0 is not based on GameHub 5.0. It is based on 5.1.0, just like GameHub Lite 5.1.3 is based on 5.1.0 with additional fixes. I am confident that GameHub Lite version 5.1.3 performs almost identical as GameHub Lite 5.0 here, since all fixes and changes between these versions were outside the emulation scope and mostly related to controller support, cloud saves, UI changes, etc. They go on to say, testing GameHub Lite 5.3.3 is also not a fair comparison, as it does not include any of the optimizations that are in the stable version of GameHub Lite. So in theory, it's similar to how GameHub itself would perform. There are a lot more processes happening on later GameHub versions, a lot of them related to Steam and replicating their behavior. This explains the CPU usage increase. Next up here, we're talking about Crash Team Racing, and you might be excited about this news if you're a fan of the game and also a fan of decompilations. So listen to this announcement, completely unrelated to Crash Team Rumble, but a Crash Tag Team Racing decompilation based on the Nintendo GameCube version is in the works right now in an early state. The project is currently up on GitHub, but unfortunately there is no timetable to know when this is going to complete. It could take a couple of weeks, a couple of months, a couple of years. It could never complete. We don't really know when it comes to decompilations here, but I would say it's promising that it's even just started. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.